Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to cover the recent terror attack on a Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany, and talk about some of the online reactions to this event. Before proceeding with the video, I want to express my condolences to Germany and all of the citizens affected by this tragic event. I am sorry for your loss. So here are the facts. On the 20th of December 2024, Talib Abdul Mushin drove a rented BMW into a crowd, killing 5 and injuring over 200 people. The murder victims include 4 middle-aged women and a 9-year-old boy. Talib has been apprehended and charged with 5 counts of murder and 200 counts of attempted murder with grievous bodily harm, and is currently awaiting his trial. So who is this Talib Abdul Mushin guy? So Talib is 50 years old, quite old for a terrorist. He is a Saudi Arabian and a psychiatrist who was granted asylum in Germany in 2006 and is a recognized political refugee. He has worked for a German government hospital since he started living in Germany as a psychiatrist. He was granted asylum as a political refugee because he is a dissident against the Sunni Muslim government in Saudi Arabia. He is a Muslim apostate and an atheist. He has since then continued his activism and attempted to help other Muslim apostates and political dissidents inside of Saudi Arabia move into the West through initiatives like his website wearesaudis.net. We could look at the website here. So yeah, the first header you get there, my advice, do not seek asylum in Germany. The rest of it is in Arabic here, but it is a forum trying to help and give useful advice in terms of securing funding, how to fill in asylum applications, children, how to build a network. So I didn't go very deeply into research here, but part of his activism has been maintaining this forum and trying to answer inquiries for approximately 18-year period. So what's the big deal with the online response? Many conservative and far-right influencers have jumped on this as soon as the first footage of the car crash was released. They all had their own narratives ready. Most prevalent was the counter-jihad narratives. For those not familiar, counter-jihad is the sort of Western anti-Islamic political movement. It's usually linked to the far right, but it's not exclusive to the far right. The counter-jihadists view Islamist ideology as the biggest threat to Western civilization, and they arrange their domestic and foreign policy positions and priorities according to that principle. So the counter-jihadist accounts and influencers were eager to attribute the attack to Islamism before any of the facts were known. And this is understandable considering how similar this event has been to the 2016 Berlin Christmas market attack, where the Islamist Anis Amir drove a truck into a crowded area, killing 12 people and injuring 56 others, creating the truck of peace meme. I might be dating myself, but I remember it as that was yesterday. So their problem is not just that they jumped the gun with their narratives, but also that many of them have refused to correct their narratives after the facts came out, and instead they've chosen to double down and spinning this narrative even further into a much more elaborate conspiracy theory about how Talib has been using Taqiyya, that is sort of a Muslim form of deception, and is in fact not an ex-Muslim or an apostate, but actually a Sunni Muslim extremist who is using Taqiyya to try to attack the Shia government of Saudi Arabia, and using the West's good graces to become an insider. Alternatively, there's also a theory floating out that he is a Shia extremist that is secretly working on behalf of the Saudi Arabian government. Something that seems quite weird considering how it's been documented that the Saudi government had issued multiple warnings to German intelligence about how dangerous Talib was. So the evidence presented for the Sunni extremist theory amounts to cherry-picking parts of his Twitter profile for posts that did not in fact match the ideological profile of a sort of counter-jihad atheist apostate, including things like his support for Palestinians and falsely claiming that he was yelling Allah Akbar in the video of him being apprehended by police. It's not been confirmed, but it was much more likely that he was saying Al Isklar while being apprehended. The counter-jihadist incentive to continue to lie about this event doesn't just amount to grifting or saving face, but also the fact that Talib himself had an ideology that could be considered a form of counter-jihad. And based on his Twitter profile, he seemed to hold the German government responsible for spreading Islam in Europe and not being counter-jihad enough. You can see this by how he showed great admiration for other counter-jihad figures like Geert Wilders, who is the current prime minister, or at least the election winner of the previous election in the Netherlands, running on a very staunch anti-Islamist platform. So, but of course, it's not just the counter-jihadists who had the issue of sitting ready with their pre-planned narratives and contributing nothing constructive to the discussion. I have a sort of tweet chain here that you could look at that illustrates the this issue quite well. So you start with the influencer Ramsey Pauls commenting, "Why do Muslims need to live in Europe? Why can't they just live in their homelands?" So okay, if he's not a Muslim, then it's not relevant. But you don't care about the facts, so you throw that out there, and then Kim Iversen chimes in. It says it's because we're bombing their homelands. So yes, Muslims are coming here, but it's our fault because we're bombing them. Except that this guy is not a Muslim, and he's not from any of the countries that have been bombed by the West in the last 20 years. Saudi Arabia is a Western ally. And we've never bombed them. So he's not coming here for that. But if you need some of that kind of anti-imperialist post-left nonsense thrown in there, then Kim Iversen is ready to chime in. And then we have Red Eyes TV's Henrik Palmgren saying, "Who is we, Kim?" Of course, implying that, yes, we did in fact bomb. He was in fact a Muslim. We did in fact bomb them, and that's the reason that they're coming here. But it wasn't us. It was the Jews who made us do it. And that's why we're having this problem in the first place. So this is kind of what the dialectic looks like. There's nothing constructive being discussed by any influencer. It's just like a bunch of grievance narratives that they have stored up in the chambers, ready to fire off as soon as a video of a car crashing into a market appears. And of course there are other influencers who I think were a little bit more consistent, who were pointing out that in fact it is the immigration policy that needs to be reformed, and that it really doesn't matter if you're bringing in low human capital Islamists or you're bringing in high human capital secularized doctors from the Middle East. You are likely to end up with the same problem anyway. And the problem then is that, I mean, if you're going to have an immigration policy, and a lot of the people who were making this point are in favor of some type of Christian nationalism, which of course you run into the same problem that you would have to, if you're going to run a foreign policy that prioritizes Christian interests and tries to look after Christian well-being, it would be strange to not accept, say, Muslim apostates who have converted to Christianity, unless you believe it's like a very serious problem that they're all using Taqiyya or whatever. So very few people standing up for the nation state in general. It seems to have become fallen out of fashion. A little bit on the right, where it's people are making the comment that the nation state is a sort of liberal construct, which indeed it is, and if you're liberal then you're gay. So you can't support liberalism, and meaning you can't support the nation state. But if you want to go full empire, then you have to look at, religious criteria. So again, we're kind of back to the start. This is a difficult issue that doesn't have any simple explanations or simple solutions that you can snap your fingers at. And most of these pre-configured narratives do not in fact fit. The actual issue concerns two factors, in my opinion. The first one is German refugee policy, and the second one is German security policy. and most people don't talk about either of those, and they can be improved without all of this ideological grievance slop that is being flung around in the ecosystem. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say on the issue. Thanks for listening, and Merry Christmas.